If you are new here, please be sure to hit like, follow, subscribe, and make sure you leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Okay, so one of the things that I think a lot of us have probably noticed is, well, video games like to monetize, whether they're free, whether they are purchased at full price of that like $60 or $70, and that can definitely be frustrating. And one of the things that I think we need to start paying attention to more is kind of the not just the perceived value of what an item, what an in-game skin, cosmetic can kind of bring to you, but also what cost it actually takes on your wallet. So I've got a few notes here that I'm going to cover, and I'm not going to load up every single game, but I probably will open up a few for kind of visual discussion, things along those lines. So I think there's definitely a few games that are worth noting here that have started going a very particular path that I think we can kind of agree with. None of them, I think, treat monetization, I guess, perfectly, but there's definitely a few, such as like Rogue Company, Siege, Modern Warfare, Dead by Daylight, that I think have certain elements of their monetization that should be worth noting and that we should definitely push more towards. Some of which not so much, but we'll discuss that here in a little bit. So I think what we need to make sure that we start understanding and accepting is that we want to start trying to ensure that there are about 5 tiers worth of in-game monetization. Okay, so with these particular points of monetization, I think that the vast majority of monetization can be just listed into 5 tiers. Now, different games call them different things, but let's just go ahead and try to make sure that we're thinking of it in a traditional mindset. We've got our legendary, our S tier, our tier 5 skins. These are going to be things that are very unlikely that we're ever going to be able to acquire through the in-game reputation systems within these various games. Now, it would be really nice if we could, but a lot of these are going to be things that go straight to like content creators, various esports teams, things along those lines. And sure, it'd be pretty nice to be able to offer those up to the in-game reputation systems. However, it's very likely that it would end up costing an exorbitant amount of hours within the game to be able to afford these. And seeing as how a lot of that money will go straight to the creators, content creators, figures, the esports scenes, I feel like it makes sense for those to be monetized in certain aspects. Maybe there are certain event skins where you do open those up, but I think in the vast majority, I think I would probably be okay with I think I would be okay with having them available through in-game currencies, basically. So things that will be fit along with these lines would end up being maybe some esports team skins, especially those that are like multiple character bundles. Anything that's kind of like an ultimate rarity, super extra effort visual overall on character. Things that will bring you additional weapon skins, emotes, ward skins, voice lines, sprays, emotes, dances, anything along those lines, all kind of bundled up into one nice package. This way we're not spending, say, like $20 on the skin and $20 on the emotes and weapon skins, and things along those lines. Now, next would be our epic tier, our A tier, tier 4 skins. These are going to be $15. Going to be probably pretty nice if we could spend in-game currency costs, but I think, again, just kind of mentally where I'm at, I think I'm okay with these being exclusive to in-game costs. Now, followed with that, we would end up also having things such as like elite skins in Rainbow Six Siege, which also give you weapon skins and elite animations. It overall is still going to feel like that character typically, but essentially it'd be like the pristine advertised version of that character. But we also have esports bundles for a particular character as well, akin to that legendary tier. A lot of that's going to go to those creators, to those esports scenes, and so again, especially for those, I think I'm okay with those being paid only. Then we get into the hybrid tiers, where where I feel like you should be able to get them through in-game reputation costs, things along those lines. So here we've got our rare, B tier, tier 3, and these would be priced at about $10. I'm not entirely sure of how many hours would need to be spent in game to acquire those. I would think probably 30 to 40 hours. I'm just kind of throwing 40 hours here because I think it just clicks well in my head, I think. But yeah, past that, we have essentially the cost of perhaps a 5-star character in something like Genshin Impact, or perhaps it is a character in Rogue Company or something along those lines. I'm spending $10, I'm getting a character. That character is going to make some significant impact in the gameplay. I feel like that's probably appropriate. Additionally, we could have various options for skins, bundles, weapon skins, things that are going to be a very typical routine drop within that game that people are going to want to acquire. Then we start getting to our lower tiered items. Uncommon, C tier, tier 2, $5 items, things that I think would probably take maybe 20 hours worth of time spent in that game. And that way, reasonably, most people could acquire quite a few of these within a month. Now again, maybe that's less time, I'm not sure, but realistically, what is the value of in-game time spent and in-game cost if I'm going to acquire that with the in-game currencies? Additionally, in a game like Genshin Impact or something along those lines, I feel like $5 would probably be would suffice for the cost of a 4-star character. Something along the lines of like mid-average tier skins, nothing super fancy, nothing as basic as just like a reskin of a core thing. I think that's pretty okay. And then we get the common items that reasonably anybody who's a free-to-play player can acquire quite a lot of these. I would think that it would probably take about 4 hours worth of in-game time to acquire these, and you can kind of see I'm trying to line these up as best I can here. So 4 hours is about $1.50 times 5, and a little discount there in terms of the cost or whatever, is 20 hours, and then times 2 is the 40 hours. So again, I think a lot of that would make sense to me. I don't think that if you have to spend anything more than 40 hours to get a skin, I think that's probably a little absurd. And that's kind of where I'm thinking is both a cap, and it also still ensures that some people will still want to buy some of these with cash. Okay. I do have a hidden tier, and we're going to discuss that here in just a little bit, but let's go ahead and dive through some of the notes that I made on a few of these games. So I wanted to make sure that I noted what is the 1 to 100 variance. I really am of the belief that a lot of these companies need to be steering towards that 1 to 100. If I spend $1, I should get 100 of the in-game currency. But just because they adjust their in-game values to line up with 1 to 100, that doesn't mean that they're also going to fix the rates to be where it makes sense as well. They might skyrocket some of these so that you're still having to pay a shit ton to buy these items. So we got to make sure that we pay attention to these on multiple fronts here. So Rogue Company, they have a 1 to 100 format. If I think their cheapest purchase option was $10. If I spend $10, I get 1,000 Rogue Bucks. All of these, the max available I can acquire is 100. And of course, most of these, when you're buying these larger bundles, they're going to give you additional in-game currency as a bonus for buying more. Usually it happens around that third tier of purchasing. So for example, if I am starting off at $5 options, then the $10 option I'm not getting any bonus for, but then the $20 option I'm getting a bonus for, the 30 and the 50 and the 100, and kind of so on and so forth. So I also wanted to make sure I identified how much in-game currency am I getting, both in terms of the core stats and in terms of the bonus currency that they're offering here. So With Rogue Company, if I bought 100, I'm getting 10,000, the 1 to 100, and I'm getting an additional bonus of 3,500 in-game credits. Now, it's important to understand what are the values of the items that we're getting in the game, and so it's also important to understand kind of that variance that we're getting for the bonus, along with like what are the most expensive items here. So the 1 to 100 variance that we get after we've gotten that $100 bundle is a surplus of 35% for us. They gave us essentially $35 worth of in-game currency of Rogue Bucks to us because we spent the $100. We spent $100 on the $100 bundle. Sounds pretty good, but again, if the prices are too high, then is it really worth it? So the most expensive item on the list right now is essentially a Dr. Disrespect, the 2-time Dallas skin. Now, it's really great that the most expensive item is only 20 bucks. I think that's great. But that's just the character skin. Nothing else is bundled into that. If you wanted to get the jetpack or the glider pack that has Dr. Disrespect's theme, if you want to get the weapon skin, if you want to get the dance, that's going to be in a different bundle. Now, I purchased it the other day. I mistakenly forgot to jot down exactly how much it was, but I think it was like 1,500. Maybe it was 2,000, but I'm pretty sure it was about 1,500, give or take. And so realistically, we're spending $35 on the Dr. Disrespect, the 2-time skin, weapon skin, glider skin, and the animation. Now, I love the 2-time. I'm more than happy to support him. But again, if we're trying to look at this in a grand scale, I think we need to be able to, I think we need to be pushing for them to bundle that together. I would have liked to have spent just $20, or hell, maybe even just a straight $25 or $30 on that full complete bundle and not split it up. I think splitting it up kind of is a little slimy, but not drastically. It was just unfortunate that I had to buy it twice, or 2 different purchases to get all the things. So we also have Rainbow Six Siege. Now, theirs is a little bit weird because right off the get-go, there's not really a 1 to 100 variance, so it kind of skews things a little bit. But essentially, if we spend $500, if we spend $5, we're gonna get 600 R6 credits. Now, if we end up getting the full $100 bundle, we're gonna get 12,000 in-game credits. And we're also going to get a bonus of 4,000 credits. Now, that almost sounds like we're getting $40 worth, but we're not, because that 600 again is kind of skewed a little bit. So realistically, what we are getting is we are getting a 60% variance. So that sounds good. But then again, what are the factors in the cost of these items? And overall, actually pretty good. So the most expensive thing, and most people are going to completely ignore it, is the Shadow Legacy, or the various seasonal skins that will give you the same character skin for all of the characters. Now, most of the items that you're going to acquire that are a little bit more elite are going to be closer to that $15 range. I think they're like 1,300 credits or 1,500 credits or something along those lines. And so realistically, if I wanted to go out and I wanted to buy all of the esports skins, realistically, I can buy the $100 bundle, and I think I can either get all of them or most of them. I can support all of the esports teams that I like. I can not support the teams I don't like. And the elite skins with the various elite animations and things along those lines, those are also each within the $15 range. So again, we're kind of looking at that epic A tier, tier 4. It's nice that they've set themselves a cap for those. So next up, we've got Dead by Daylight, and I'm gonna actually go ahead and flip this onto the game here. So Okay, so now we've got ourselves Dead by Daylight open, and I wanted to make sure that I showed this off because I actually think it's really interesting. So pretty standard stuff here, where if I buy more, I get more. But they actually start off the bonuses right off the bat with the second tier. If I spend $10, I get 1,100, and I actually wanted to give them extra credit on this because that's really interesting, and I'm really appreciative of that as a consumer and as a gamer. But when we go over to these like character skins, we're actually going to notice a really interesting thing, that the character skins, even these like super legendary event skins, nothing is more expensive than $10. Like extra credit. Like there's Dwight. Let's go to one of my favorite killers, Huntress. Like this is pretty sick, honestly. But yeah, none of these are more expensive than $10. A lot of these will be, or some of these will be available for in-game currency, or the in-game reputation currencies. Not all of them. It's usually like one or two of the purples. But anything above that, like the orange, will definitely be the paid amount. But yeah, honestly, nothing here cost $15. Nothing here cost 20 bucks, 40 bucks. Nothing split really. If I wanted this right here, I buy that Oryx Cell pack for $10. I got it, and I got a couple other spare. So I just wanted to make sure that I gave some extra just props to Dead by Daylight on that. Okay, so now we're back to this little sheet here. I actually recently uninstalled Call of Duty, but in any case, the cheapest purchase option is $2. You get 200 COD points. The battle pass is pretty good. You get a lot of good stuff from it if that's something you wanted to invest in. You do get a 30% variance. This is where we start getting problems with the cost of items in game. However, that variance sounds nice, but if I have to spend $24 in order to get a full character bundle that comes with an elite-esque kind of skin, a couple weapon skins, a vehicle skin, watch skin, emblem, I don't know. I think $24 is just a little steep because there's so many of them. I think there's something like a dozen, maybe more. And so if I really wanted to go and try to collect I'm pretty sure there's more, but let's just do 12 times 2,400, 28,000 in-game currency. That's a little steep. I don't know how comfortable I would feel trying to drop $300 on this game, trying to get, or even $200 on that game, trying to get a bunch of different character skins. Because I think there's something like a total of like 30 playable operators or characters, and most of them, not all of them, but I think most of them have one of these 2,400 bundles. And if I'm going to be a collector styled gamer where I want all of the extra skins and stuff, that's a lot. And there's also a lot of other like tracer skins that are usually like $1,600 or something along those lines, or sorry, 1,600 in-game COD points. You get the weeb, the anime skin bundles, and all these other various like tracer skin bundles. It adds up really quickly. It's a free game and it's fun. Warzone is great, but if you're a collector gamer, you want to get all the skins, it's gonna cost a ton of money, and that's where I start having some issues. Past that, I think overall the balance is fine. I think the game is great. The battle pass is fine. You get a ton of great stuff from the battle pass. So really, I think it's kind of middle of the pack. There's some things it does well on the monetization, and there's other things that it doesn't do great on. Now we get to one of the bad boys of this video, and that's going to be Smite. Smite is kind of atrocious with its monetization. You spend $5, you're getting 200 gems. Now, we keep on talking about value, and I want to make sure that I emphasize, hey, maybe 200 gems is fine if the items cost not a lot. They cost a lot. And I mean a lot. There's way too many currencies in Smite, and you always feel like you're going to be getting just cheaped out on. Okay, so now we've got the big bad boy of Smite in here, and I figured I'd go ahead and show this because it's just absolutely insane. So if I spend $5, I get 200 gems. If I spend $100, I get 8,000 gems. I'm still not getting a 1 to 100 scenario after I buy $100 worth of the in-game currency, and that's absolutely unacceptable. Now, maybe it was acceptable if the items in the game don't cost a lot, but let's look at a couple of examples here. Let's go to gods, and one of the characters that I main is Nemesis. And let's see here. We've got a couple of skins here. Scarlet Judgment that look really cool. Let's go to this. So I cannot buy this outright. Okay, I have to roll on an Odyssey chest that has 897 items in here. I have to spend $5 per roll, basically. And okay, maybe I got the $100 bundle, right? So that gives me 8,000 skin, or 8,000 gems, right? So 8,000 divided by 200 equals 40. I get 40 attempts of getting that skin, and I'm still not guaranteed to get that skin. And in fact, that's not even a dent in this. That's insane. Okay, now this is probably a little bit of an obscure one. The Odyssey is a very specific type of thing within the system. We'll make note of that here in just a minute. But let's go back to Nemesis real quick. And we've got this elegant skin here. Okay, so let's go to this. Now this is much better. It's in an item, or it's in a loot box chest scenario of only 15 items. Maybe I get lucky and I get it on my first roll. Okay, so that's gonna be what was it, $5? 1 second, spreadsheet. Where are you? Yeah, so that's $10 right here. Maybe I got really lucky on that $10, and I got it on my first roll. But if I didn't, if I spend I'm gonna need to spend $100 on that bundle, and maybe I get unlucky and it's my last item. That means I basically sent 6,000 gems to get that one skin, and that's insane. Now, not everything is within a loot box. You can certainly get some skins on their own. So let's do a little bit of a filter here. And I'm gonna be a little rude here, and I want to go to the ultimate, most expensive item in this game that you can buy outright, no loot boxes involved. Stellar Demise. 8,800 gems. Now, we're going to go back to that spreadsheet here in just a minute, because you're going to see something with this skin, and it's that it evolves. It has multiple forms that it evolves through. And I got to say, this skin is fucking badass, and I actually kind of want it. But I'm not about to spend $115 on this skin. That's disgusting. That's insane. No. I think I gotta give the developers, the artists, major props. That skin, that evolving thing is honestly fucking sick. I don't play this character, but I kind of want it. I feel like charging $115, you're gonna start kind of getting sort of diminishing returns. Like, how much money did you spend on development and artist and man hours trying to develop this? I feel like there's maybe 5 people who can like reasonably buy this that aren't like content creators and play this game religiously, right? Like, that's insane. But I feel like for something like this, I feel like closer to that $30 mark. Like, I feel like I would probably personally be okay spending $30 on this. But $115, no. Now, I want to make sure that I emphasize that that's not always the case. You've got this Demonic Thanatos skin, which is $100. And again, it looks fucking badass. I'd be more than happy spending $30 on that. This skin is pretty sick as well. $30. I'd probably be okay with that. Winds of Chong right here for Kukulkan. That is fucking sick. Again, I would probably be okay with them charging $30. But again, I have to realistically get that $100 bundle just to be able to afford this thing. And then we got this guy. Now, I think it's right. Yeah. So these four are the most expensive that you can buy outright. And then it's a very significant decrease. This is half of that other cost. Again, though, that's still like $50 you'd have to drop for this one. This one, again, I think it's like $40 or $35 or something like that. But yeah, basically what I wanted to make sure that I notated is $115 is way too expensive. It's just absolutely insane. There's no reason anybody should be charging $115 for a skin, as badass as that is. I don't want to slap the developers in the face or anything. It's kind of insane. Okay, so we're back at this spreadsheet, and earlier I mentioned that I was going to hide one of these. So we're going to unhide it. So I basically created one extra tier. I'm calling it Ultimate. It's the Pog tier. It's the GOAT tier, all right? $30. Again, major props on artistic work, on something that's like an evolving skin, cream of the crop, artistic insanity. Truly the top tier. Only the madmen, the madwomen will want to acquire these types of skins. I gotta say, $30 is you gotta make that the cap. And then finally we have Genshin Impact. If you don't know about Genshin Impact, it is a gacha game. It is free to play. You can play it on mobile, on PS4, on PC. But it's a gacha game. It's 100% gambling. The core base game you can absolutely play to get to the end of the core story without spending a single penny. But there's definitely, once you hit Adventure Rank 40, a huge grind on any type of collection of additional characters, of additional weapons, things along those lines. There is a stamina styled system called Resin if you want to do any of the domains, the dungeons or whatever, any of the world boss fights that respawn, that drop character items that you'll need, and of course the weekly world bosses as well. So this game has a wish system, which is essentially its loot box system for you to gain various characters and items and things along those lines. Now, essentially the way it works is every 10 rolls, you're guaranteed a 4-star character or item, and every 90 rolls, you're guaranteed a 5-star character or a 5-star weapon. There is that pity system. Now, you can still potentially get a 4-star or 5-star before the 10 roll, before the 90th roll. It's just, that's basically the pity, is that you're guaranteed that 4 or 5-star character in that increment. They have a terrible variance. It's not as bad as Smite, but if I spend $1, I'm getting 60, which realistically means if I'm spending $5, I think I'm getting 300. That sounds about right. Yeah. So $5 is 300. So still pretty bad compared to everything else. There's also a one-time bonus where each tier, the $5, the $1, the $100, the $50 bundles, you will get double the amount of currency that normal price point would offer. Then it diminishes down pretty significantly. So if we look at this, if I spend $100, I get 6,480 Genesis crystals, and I get a bonus of 1,600 Genesis crystals to bring myself to 8,080 Genesis crystals. So the 1 to 100 variance actually starts off better than Smite and then ends up getting a little bit worse than Smite, which is kind of weird. It's definitely a very unique element of all of these various games. The way it works is you can roll one at a time. It's basically a loot box. You can roll one at a time, or you can get a 10 roll or a 10 bundle for one of the banners. It's either a character banner or a weapon banner or the universal banner. But there's some extra steps to take. There's multiple weird currencies. You spend cash to get crystals. You exchange those crystals to get primo gems, and then you need those primo gems to be utilized to acquire either intertwined or acquaint fates to use on these banners. Now that sounds confusing as fuck. Thankfully, they have an auto system that allows you to just auto translate the currencies for you, which is great. It's very convoluted. But the whole reason why they do this is because the Acquaint Fate is going to always be used for the Universal banner that has every single 4-star and every single 5-star in the game, pretty much, except for like the most recently used 4 or 5-star characters. But then the Intertwined Fates are the banners that appear every 3 weeks. I believe it's every 3 weeks. And so this is why, like, it's just weird and convoluted. It's not really very necessary. So the worst thing about it is that earlier I mentioned that it has a pity system on the 5 stars. So the cost of one roll is 160 primo gems, aka 160 Genesis crystals. So if I end up spending 160 primo gems times 90 rolls to get that pity, that worst case scenario, I would need 14,400 Genesis crystals or primo gems in order to get that, which basically means that I could spend $100 and not get a 5-star character or a 5-star weapon. Now, I want to give a quick shout out to Mtash on YouTube. He's a Destiny creator. He's been a Genshin Impact creator. He's basically quitting Genshin Impact and going back to Destiny. But he made this note the other day where, yeah, you can drop $100 and still not get a 5-star, and that's just absolutely baffling. And I really feel that if they were to go down a route where we could direct purchase these characters for something like, say, I don't know, it's a free-to-play game. I want to push for $10. I really do. I personally would probably be okay with like $20 per character. And then same thing with like the duplicates of those characters if you really wanted to. But I mean, realistically, like what do you think sounds like it makes sense? I really don't feel like I want to spend more than $10 on a 5-star character. I really don't. Would I spend the $20? Sure, but I really feel we need to push these to be a lot more like this, like Dead by Daylight, like Siege, like Rogue Company, where I could spend $10 and get a character. And I just feel like the universality really needs to come. So, in summary, what did we just talk about? I think that we need to go towards universality of 1 to 100 variants, but at the same time, we need to pay really close attention to the value, the assumed value of the in-game purchases, and make sure that just because they transition to a 1 to 100 scenario, that they don't skyrocket the cost of items. That we try to keep people account to these kind of general goals of making sure that we're not going bankrupt just trying to buy things in the game, not spending money on loot boxes and just, you know, illegally gambling on something that I may never get. You know, I think that's just kind of my general thought process. You know, maybe we allow a little bit of flexibility here, but I think the more universal we get with all of these different companies, I think the better just all of consumers will feel, both within their wallets, both within their you know, acceptance of the game, and also with not feeling bad after they've made a purchase. I'm sure there's plenty of people who've gone through the mindset of, hey, I don't know, like, I've got $50. I could spend it on this. Should I? I don't know. I think I really want it. Let's spend the money, whether it's for the content, for the personal, whatever the scenario is. And the moment you hit buy, you're like, I can't believe I did that. And it's like a little chuckle, but in the back of your head, you're just like, I hate my life. So yeah, sorry if this was a little ranty. I figured I would just kind of talk about this rather than showing a little bit too much. I wanted to make sure that this was a little bit more kind of discussion oriented. So what are your thoughts here? Let me know your thoughts down below. If you are new to this channel, please make sure you hit like, subscribe, follow. Yeah, let me know your thoughts.